Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're looking at another pair of Hobbysoul Slinger X's. These are the T10 compound. They're soft and sticky. They're stickier compound. Let's just say this would be the compound that I would say they are like is their version of a Predator compound or more of a performance-oriented compound. Where the T8 is more of their G8 compound or like their trailing compound or longer lasting compound. Now, we have reviewed the Hobbysoul Slingers, and then we did a side-by-side comparison with the Slinger and the Slinger X and the T8 compound. So you might be thinking, are we going to do a side-by-side of the T8, the T10, and the regular Slinger? And the answer is yes, we are going to do that at some point. But for today's purposes, looking at the Slinger X and T10, we are going to review this tire by itself. I'm going to try my darndest to treat this tire as though I have never driven the other ones, and this is a review of this tire alone without comparing it to the other ones. Coming onto the side hill, a little bit of side slide from the Slinger X. Nothing too bad. Side slide is what you expect with a chevron lug, especially an open chevron lug like we have here. And if you're not familiar with what the Slinger X is, the Slinger X is basically a Hobbysoul mudslinger, which is a copy, if you will, of a RC four-wheel drive mudslinger, only in actual Class 2 size instead of Class 1 size. The Slinger X has the small lugs removed already, which is a common performance modification to make with Slinger tires. And of course the X in a sticky compound. RC four-wheel drive slingers come in three sizes actually, if you count the 2.2s. But the 1.9s, you have the Slinger, which is like 385, and then you have the Slinger XL, which is 4.21 or Class 1. And interestingly, the Slinger XL is in their X2SS compound, and the regular Slinger is in their X2S3 compound. X2S3? Is it X2X3 or S? I think it's S. X2S3. So, inside the Slinger X's today, we are running GTR RC dual stage foams, very similar to like a T10 or a Proline dual stage foam. And the Slinger X is a tall tire. A little bit taller than Class 2 actually. This is from the factory, they measure it at 385. But there's an interesting thing to note with the compound of this tire and the carcass. Although it is a nice, soft, and sticky compound. Well, let's talk about side hill. Side hill performance was pretty good. A little bit of side slide, but nothing too bad. I don't want to make too many comparisons before we do the actual comparison video, but I will say the Slinger X's definitely benefit from the T10 compound on the side hill. Something interesting to note about this tire, this one specifically in the T10 compound, is although we do have a pretty soft and sticky compound, I mean the tire is picking up rocks as we drive along, it sticks to itself, it is a legitimately sticky compound. It's a thicker carcass than you usually see with a performance-oriented tire. It's a thicker carcass than you usually see with a tire that's sticky. And so that makes sometimes the carcass thickness makes your insert choice a little more important. Again, today I am running the dual stage inserts from GTR RC. So far, it looks like they're going to perform decently. We shall see as time goes on. But thick carcass tires are something that often do benefit from running a 3D insert. And even though I don't love 3D inserts because I do think they cause more bounce, the benefit of a 3D insert is they don't overstuff a tire like a foam does. Like to get a good performance out of a foam, a dual stage foam, you kind of stuff the tire. And with thicker carcass tires, sometimes they don't like that. So what I'm getting at is, depending on how performance goes today, down the road, the next time you see these, perhaps in a comparison video, the Slinger X's might be running 3D inserts. We shall see. Coming up to our second obstacle. Ooh, could we... This obstacle just loves to pitch rigs over backwards. I think we could slow walk this based off of how steep the obstacle is, just if our obstacle was different. Yeah, very, very little wheel speed required. So what happens on this obstacle, guys, is there's a good ledge right here, and then there's a crack here. And so once you come up on top, or once you start crawling up it, your rear tires get in here, and pretty much that just wants to pitch you over backwards. It's not really indicative of, you know, a bad tire. That's just kind of how that line works. Now, a portal rig seems to be less susceptible to that, so just something to note. But so far, Slinger X is doing excellent, easy, slow pull up there. Wheel speed is almost always required, but less wheel speed from the Slinger X than I have noticed with other tires. And as we come on to our new obstacle number 3, and we enter the crab walk, and no issues there. Just a little bit of rubbing on the rear passenger side from that tall tire and that huge lug, but no issues pulling up and over there. Ooh. So we're going to redrive that because I drove that wrong. Although I would expect a good tire to be able to overcome that. I drove that improperly, so we're going to give it another shot. This happens to me when I start watching the rig on camera instead of watching what's actually in front of me. Also, where I'm standing right now, I'm finding to be a lot better driving angle, so I'll have to try to note that. Steer up here, there we go. And I want to maintain the high line until I get the rear. There we go. That's what we want to see. Supposed to have good temperatures today, but the wind is also coming out to play. I think I have learned, unless the wind is really, 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 really bad, we're going to stay away from the lapel mic. On the video of the introduction to Tire Rack 2.0, I use the lapel mic, and I just don't like how the audio sounds. It makes it sound like I'm in a tin can. Not a fan. And as you know, at the time that you're, well, maybe you don't know, depends on if you've watched all my videos or not. At the time you're watching this, I have, today is November 17th. I have already enough videos uploaded and staged for release to get us through most of March of next year, of 2026. And the reason is because as winter comes, really easy, nice pull up there. That rear tire doing an excellent job of hooking that lip there and pushing us up. But as winter comes, I am not able to get out on the rocks as much, and as we drop below 40 degrees, I won't do tire reviews anymore, simply because the temperature is not fair to the tire to do it that cold. But even though I have that content staged, I'm going to continue to make content throughout the winter. Whether they be workbench videos, I'll do tire review videos when I can, when the temperature permits. I'm just planning for the worst. And then we'll just do rig videos, you know, driving different rigs that you haven't seen from the fleet and stuff. We'll still get out here through the winter and upload content. But because I have all that content staged, and because I have made some changes on our obstacles on the course, we got rid of 2 obstacles and replaced them with 2 new ones. You will notice that kind of going back and forth between videos, depending on when I actually recorded them, even though the order that you're watching them will be, how do I put this? You might watch a video, like this video I'm recording right now. This is going to be uploaded this week. So this will probably be uploaded either tonight. Actually, no, it won't, because I've already got a couple videos. This will be uploaded in 2 weeks. This video will go live in 2 weeks, almost to the day. But you know what? This special one I'm going to release for one specific subscriber. I'm going to go ahead and release it today. But as I do these, some videos will be released pretty much as they were recorded. And then the next video that you watch, the next in order of upload or of release, will have been recorded like 2 months ago, possibly. So it's going to get weird with the timeline for a little bit because the course is different on some videos than it is the others. And if you don't remember that I have a bunch of videos staged and I'm still out here actively recording, it might make it seem weird. I'm not driving 2 different courses. I have changed the course, and there's just still some videos that are uploaded already that were driven on the older obstacles. I shouldn't say I've changed a course, I've changed a couple obstacles. So far, the Slinger X and T10 compound is really doing very well. Haven't had any struggles, haven't had any issues. It's making short work of all these obstacles. Those GTRRC dual stage foams are actually working very well in here. I like how the firmness of that foam, I shouldn't say firmness, but because even though this tire's outside diameter is 385, the inside diameter tire of this tire is actually pretty thin. It's pretty small. It's like smaller than a normal class 2 because of the thickness of the carcass and because a significant portion of this tire's height comes from that giant lug. So because of that, the inside diameter of this tire is actually probably about the same as like a 4.6. And so these GTR foams in there are pretty stuffed in there, and they're not stiff. There's still plenty of conformity left in this tire, but it is what I would consider overstuffed. And that was what I was kind of wondering, is that going to cause issues with performance? So far, I have not noticed it to. So far, we're doing really well. In terms of cost, the Slinger X is not the cheapest kind of, if you want to call Hobbysoul a no-name brand, it kind of is. It's not the cheapest out there. Full price, these run right around $50 for a set of 4, so that would make them $25 a pair. As of the time of this recording, these tires are on Amazon on sale for $43 for a set, which would make it, you know, $21.50, I think, for a pair. Okay, this right here is a good dismount. I just need to, there we go. I just need to drive it. So in terms of cost, they're very fair. Obviously, as with everything, you need to put different foams in them, in my opinion. The foams they come with are a pretty good quality open stage single cell foam, but it's still open cell single stage foam. But it's still an open cell single stage foam. So as you know, I pretty much refuse to run that in anything. I love me a dual stage foam or a 3D insert. Mostly I like dual stage foams. Just my preference. Let's see, where have I decided is... Yeah, this is where I can stand where my shadow is not as big of a problem. I need to zoom out. There we go. Coming on to the obstacle, obviously you guys know this is where we often have to hook the side wall and use our side lug to pull us up off the obstacle. That's too far. Great tires can slow walk up this without having to hook. Let's see how the T10s do. Slinger X and T10 compound, I mean. Nice easy pull onto the obstacle, but not really going any further than that. Very common. We'll use just a little bit of wheel speed to get us over and hook that side wall, that side lug. Get me right at the right angle. And let's go for a little bit steeper. Oop. A little too much juice. We're gonna redo that. I stayed in the throttle just a hair too long. There we go. This is something when I swap out my motor and run 4S, I think it'll make that bump a little easier on me to drive. Today we're currently running, there's a rock there on the end of the obstacle. Now I'm getting the passenger side hung on a lip. Let me shut up and drive for a second so I don't roll this out. Right now I'm not dealing with tire, I'm dealing with the idiot behind the transmitter. There we go. And the idiot behind the camera. Good grief. Sorry. What was I saying? What was I rambling about that you guys need to hear? Oh, Today we are running a Fusion Pro 2300 kV. On order, I have a Holmes, well, in the mail actually, I have a Holmes 1800 kV 2-in-1 that is going to go in this so that I can run 4S. Now, I've talked before about how I really miss my 1200 kV Fusion SE that I used to run in here. I liked the wheel speed of that. And then I talked about how I had thought about putting an 1800 Fusion SE in it because I thought that would be perfect. And now I am putting an 1800 kV motor in, but it's going to be running 4S, which today I run 3S. The whole reason I want to run 4S is so I can take full advantage of my Three Brothers servos that I run in here. So we will do some kind of fiddling with pinion size and everything. With the 2300 motor in here now, yeah, that diff hang up with this tall tire, well, maybe, oh, see, now I've done it. I got it too far down in there where nothing can recover. This tall tire is going to make the diff hang up a little difficult. But with a 2300, I'm running the smallest pinion that I can really fit in the Stealth XF. We'll probably maintain this pinion size with the 1800 because we're gonna gear down, but we're gonna volt up. So diff hang. We're not gonna get the diff hang with this tire. It's just too tall. So hopefully, my goal is, although my wheel speed, I don't think it will be as low as like I would like it to be optimally, which I could throttle limit myself if I really wanted to. Maybe someday I'll do that, but I don't think the wheel speed will be quite as low as I would like it to be, but I don't think it's going to increase. I think if I maintain the same pinion size, which I think I have a 17 tooth pinion in here, if I remember correctly, but maintain that with the 1800 kV motor, running 4S, if my math is mathing correctly, and I don't mean math that I've actually done on paper or that I understand, I mean, I really am using math as a placeholder for assumption. If my assumptions work correctly, my wheel speed is going to maintain, or is going to be more or less the same. All right, I'm not quite coming on here at the correct angle, so I'm going to reset again. That's a driver issue. Leaves on the course here in the fall are making my lines a little difficult to see sometimes. Okay, this is the right line. Struggling a little bit. There we go. Not too bad. No increase in wheel speed required. Able to pretty easily slow walk up that. Now let's see. I need to generate some wheel speed to get off this and clear this edge. Let's see if we're able to do that from a standstill. Yeah, good grip out of that T10 compound. If I could change one thing about this tire, it would make it just a hair shorter. I don't like 485 size tires. I like 475 and 465 tires. Although, if I was running, you know, an open fender, a different body, something like that, if I clearance radius the wheel wells in this more, I wouldn't get any rubbing. Not that the rubbing bothers me that much. So, I wouldn't say this tire size is problematic, unless you wish to enter this tire in a competition. Because one of the reasons that I don't understand this tire size is it's really not tall enough to be a benefit over a 475. So you've got a tire size that technically, if you go by like what Sorka says, or you go by most comp rules, even if they don't follow Sorka rules, they still usually follow the tire size rules. This tire is too large to be considered class 2, so it's class 3. But it's like barely a class 3, so it's too small to benefit from the size that you get with class 3. Don't understand why manufacturers do the 485, other than I think they make a mold and then they're like, now let's put lugs on it, and they realize that, oh, now it's tall. But that doesn't really matter today because we don't do comps anymore. We don't care about comp rules. we use class terms very loosely around here. So by all intents and purposes, this is a Class 2 tire as far as I'm concerned. Just a little bit big Class 2. It's a big Class 2. It's a big boy. Up the loose gravel hill climb. Lots of leaves. I said last week when I was out here that I would bring a leaf blower with me. Did I do that? No, I didn't do that. I'm very organized at work, but this is not work. This is play. And I'm not that organized when it comes to playtime. Okay, what do we think about the Slinger X from Hobbysoul in their T10 compound? This is an excellent tire. It's not without a few shortcomings, which I'll get to, but ultimately, depending on if it's on sale or not, I'm going to just call it between $43 and $50 a set of 4. They work very well. They completed all the obstacles on our course, all without issues. They didn't do as well as like the best tires we've run out here, but they're up there in the better performing tires. You know, there's a couple obstacles where they just did like, how do I put this? It was still good performance. It was just like typical good performance instead of like outstanding performance. For a $50 set of tires, that's really good. This compound is nice and soft. It's nice and sticky, but it doesn't appear to be wearing overly quick. Now, granted, I've only got 20 minutes of runtime on this tire so far. But I've driven enough different tires. I've felt enough, I've had enough compounds in my hand. I've had enough on the rocks. I kind of can tell what a tire is how it's gonna wear based off of that first drive. I can see just ever so slight feathering starting on those lugs. So, I mean, I think these are going to wear about the rate that J Concepts Green wears at. So not excessively quickly, not insanely slowly. If you want something that's going to last forever, probably their T8 compound will be a better choice. But this definitely performs better than the T8 compound, and I think it's worth it because it's not like Proline Predator crazy in the way it wears. Predators would already be like starting to get holes ripped in them. What's not to like? I don't like the height. I wish it was a little bit shorter. Largely, though, that is personal preference. That really doesn't have anything to do with performance. I just wish it was a little bit shorter, possibly a little bit narrower. But for me to really, you know, again, neither one of those things are performance-based. It's just kind of my preference on what a tire is. So, in terms of what's not to like for performance, I don't think there is anything. It's a good tire, man. You really, if you can fit a 485 tire, which this is what it looks like on Tire Rack. You know, we don't have insanely clearance wheel wells or anything. This is pretty standard stuff. And if you ran a little bit softer foam than what I have in here, you would get more bag out of it, and so it wouldn't be as tall. There's nothing not to like. Man, these leaves are just snowing down on me. There's nothing not to like. It's a great tire. $43 right now. $50 I think is what the normal price for them is. I'm going to link these below. You should definitely get yourself a set and check them out for yourself. These are great. Till next time, everybody. Have a good one.